the bold model. We're talking about the strategy supermodel sessions here and how we can actually create a very visual model that allows us to see and touch and feel our strategy in a much different manner as well. That's what I'm going to be going over today is the strategy supermodel sessions, right? Where we go through a specific concept, and I'm going to be showing you very, very soon, and how we can actually elevate this model and see how we can actually visualize it, touch it, and feel it as well. So it's a new take on strategy, and it's a new foundation in terms of how can we actually understand strategy much more detailed, and give us some tools to be able to see what this difference is and how we can actually create this unique value foundation ultimately for what we're doing with our business as well. So I'm going to get into that very, very quickly. But as I said, my name is Joel Bueller, and please go to strategystorming.co where you can download all the PDFs, all of the sample models, and everything else that we're producing here today. If you'd like a copy of the PDF that I'm talking about today, just write AMPS, AMPS in the comments, and I will send that off to you. And you'll find out what AMPS actually means coming up very, very soon as well. So welcome to this session. Today, I want to talk to you about the bold model. And I'm doing a special event with Epi Ludwig coming up, where we're going to be talking about Epi's from the Bold Awards, and we're going to be talking about how we actually have created one of these models for one of the upcoming courses that we're going to be teaching in terms of marketing during a recession and that sort of thing. So really looking forward to that as well. So what we want to be able to do is see how can we actually understand what are these pieces that we're talking about. And when I say that, we want to be able to visualize our business. We want to be able to visualize, have the tools that allow us to be able to see what actually is happening in our business. And from a strategic perspective, this allows us that ability to understand the forces and the effects and the causes that are moving our business and pushing us off course and that sort of thing. If we can actually we can actually build a model. We can build a strategy model that allows us to do that. And I've done a few previous, and if you've been watching, we did one for Salesforce where we had the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we've done one for Ikigai, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, what you are good at. And number 4 is over here, what the world needs as well. So as you can see, we can actually take some basic concepts and we can create this visual foundation, this value foundation about what's really, really important with your business, and how we can actually come and build a little strategy model that shows us the different elevations and shows us rather the foundation that we can then use to build a stronger business and to build that focus and build that priority as well, because these tools can actually be then used to create a priority, to create a roadmap, to create a radar. And there's a whole series of events that we can actually produce from these simple illustrations and that sort of thing. So I just want to quickly introduce you to the AMPS model if you're not familiar with that. AMPS stands for Audience, Method, Process, and Story. And what these really are is just some basic concepts that allow us to articulate, okay, what is our business about? And I wanted to be able to show you, okay, well, how can we actually understand these different pieces? So audience is, what are you connecting and communicating? Or rather, how are you connecting and communicating? Our method is, what is your internal structure to connect? Your process is, what steps are critical to success? And your story is, what journey are you bringing your audience on as well? And these sort of form the foundation of what's called the curiosity foundation, so that we can see, okay, what is it that's really important for our business? Can we articulate that as a brand strategy specifically? And then what are we able to do with that as we get into that? So this is the basic AMPS model, and this creates the foundation for the SWOT model and the BOLD model that I'm going to be going into very shortly as well. But one of the cool facts that we can do is we can print it out on a PDF. We've designed it ahead of time, printed it out on a PDF, and then we're just actually able to fold it up and create it into a 3D shape. And then I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue here, and that'll allow us um, to put the model in place and actually put the model in an upright position as well. And then all we do is apply the glue, fold them into place like that and like that. And so we've actually able to create a very simple, quick, and easy 3D model of our brand strategy as well. So in this case, as I mentioned, audience, method, process, and story. And this allows us to again see where the interactions are, where the apex is, and what we need to be able to do with this. And there's a lot of different dimensions and fulcrums and levers kind of built into this model, so we can actually go quite deep. But just for simplicity, we have the 4 levels, we have the 4 pieces of our value foundation that allow us to see what our model can look like as well. And then that allows us to analyze what's going on with the business as well. So if we take this next, as I mentioned, we're talking, we're going to be talking about the bold model, right? And we actually built this model using some aspects of artificial intelligence to help us look at, okay, what are the signals that we're looking for to understand uncertainty, and how can we actually convert that into a simple model that allows us to see what's really important and enable us to see, what articulates our model, what's the foundation of our model. And so then we can actually create one. And in this case, we wanted to have a bit of fun with it. So we did one based on the bold model, right? So behavior, opportunities, leadership, and development. And we can say that this is fundamentally what the bold series of courses is about, is how do we understand the behaviors? How do we understand the opportunities? How do we understand what's important with leadership? And then how do we create that development as well? And if we go a little bit deeper, one level actually extra deep, if we're looking at behavior, we have to understand, what are we monitoring for purchase patterns? How are we tracking our customer feedback and trends? How do we analyze customer insights and data? So we can go another level deeper to see, okay, what's really important here? What do we need to be able to understand? With opportunities, it's evaluate risks, it's identify new technologies, it's act quickly as well. So we need to be able to see this. We need to, again, articulate, okay, what's really important with opportunities. And then in terms of the leadership, we need to look at an innovative business model. We need to look at thought leadership and set industry standards. And we need to be able to disrupt status quo as well. And then finally, for the last segment of the model, we're talking about development. So what's really important there? Stay ahead of the curve, develop new products and solutions, and invest in R&D and skills as well. So we've been able to assemble this model with a little bit of help from AI to be able to say, okay, well, what's really important for this scenario? And that's ultimately the real power of these tools, is that we can create them for pretty much any scenario. As we talked about, we can again use it as a SWOT analysis for a specific business. In this case, we did it for Salesforce. We can do it for a generic sort of SWOT analysis for our own business. We're able to see, okay, we can ask ourselves these specific questions, and how is it that we want to respond? And then that gives us an opportunity to investigate further. And then we can understand that with the ultimate value foundation model of the AMPS model, so the audience, method, process, and story as well. So in this case, the behavior, opportunities, leadership, and development gives us the bold model, which shows us, okay, how can we actually put this together for businesses? How can we teach them how to understand what's really important with dealing with disruption, and being able to understand uncertainty, and how we can actually deal with it in the changing business as well. So we produce it on this PDF, and then we're actually able to simply cut it out like that, and then we can fold it up, as I mentioned, and we can then begin to raise the model as well. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on these pages, and that allows us to simply fold the model. 1, 2, 3. And you can use tape or whatever the case may be. And as mentioned, if you'd like to get a copy of this, just type in amps or bold in the comments, and I'll send you a PDF of the specific model as well. So, and there you have it right there. So it's pretty easy to see. We converted it from the ideas, right? We generated these ideas based on the priorities of the business, what's really important, and building the brand strategy, building the brand architecture. We're able then to basically raise this into something that we can see, touch, and feel as well. So we can go through the model in this way. So we're talking about B for behavior, we're talking about O for opportunities, we're talking about L for leadership, and we're talking about D for development as well. So we can take that model and we can use it in our discussions. We can use it in training. We can use it in describing and articulating our brand value and our value foundation as well. So it really gives us this new perspective of what's really important here. And we can always go back to the model and say, okay, well, what is a priority? How can we actually develop these priorities further as well? So it allows us to be able to focus on what's really important and decide what's not really important either at this specific point in time. And we can unroll these into a roadmap. We can unroll it into, forecasting tool to look at the radar and that sort of thing. So it really gives us a great opportunity to be able to see, okay, well, what is ultimately really important here, and how can we actually use that for our business to build that value foundation as well. All right, so I want to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me on the Strategy Supermodel session where we talked about the bold model with myself, Doyle Bueller. And if you'd like a copy of either the bold model or the AMPS model, I can send you the PDF. Just write bold or AMPS in the comments, and I will get that off to you as well. And I'd like to encourage you to explore and find that curiosity, that point where you can decide what's really important for your business, and how can we articulate and visualize our brand strategy, our brand architecture as well as a value foundation. So I'll leave you with that. If you want to follow along, please go to strategystorming.co and the Strategy Studio with myself, Doyle Bueller, and I appreciate your time taken to watch this. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time online.